Hey y'all, welcome back. I don't know if you can tell, but I took down my two braids and I had them in puffs, so I hope it looks good. It looks like I got the homegirl from Star Wars with the two donuts on the side of her head. We're gonna work with it. Just yeah. So I got my Netflix back, and y'all don't judge me because that $25 sometimes you just can't spend it that month. Okay, I mean inflation, times are hard. You know the script, all right? So that means I'm a little late on this review about the Deliverance, but I am here to do this review. Plus, I got a little story time on my own experience with a spirit, okay? So I didn't realize there were so many, well-known actors in this movie until I actually saw it. Like, I knew Monique was going to be in it because her and Lee Daniels are back on the up and up. Andrea Day, she is a fantastic singer. I actually got her first album, which came out, I want to say 2016-ish or 17, somewhere around there. And I believe it or not, I still haven't seen her in that Blue Holiday movie on Hulu. That's because I don't have Hulu anymore. But I don't know if I'm gonna do a review on that since it's kind of old now as far as reviews are concerned. But yeah, I heard that she did a very good job acting in that. So anyway, on this movie, she plays, alcoholic mother who you do kind of sympathize with later on in the movie, because I actually thought she was beating her kids for a split second. Then I'm like, oh wait, no, they're being haunted or whatever. So, oh, I forgot to go over the cast, the star-studded cast. We had Miss Glenn Close, who I think gained popularity with her Fatal Attraction movie in 1987. That was a really big hit. It's pretty much like, a cinematic classic. Omar Epps had a small role, but he was in there. Now, this one lady, the one that played the priest, I forgot her name. It's a little different. It's a unique name, but she's been in a lot of things, and she always kills her role no matter what she plays. Caleb from Stranger Things is in this. The youngest child, the one that was really actually possessed by the demon, they said he's doing pretty well in some movies. This is my first time seeing him in a movie. You know how I feel, my opinion, a lot of times I feel like kid actors, the real young ones, can't act. I just think they get them because they're like cute or whatever, and I don't know. But, when it comes to horror, believe it or not, you do have to have a certain amount of acting going on. So, it was good. I don't know. I can't really say what I was expecting though. I didn't really realize it was going to be horror until I was actually watching it, because when it first came out, I made sure that I avoided any social media on it, because people will spoil the crap out of a movie or a TV show if it's real popular, and I didn't want to know anything about it. I hadn't watched the trailer, so I thought maybe it was going to be about some really deep family drama. I didn't know it was on the on the lines of a horror movie. So if you remember, since Monique has, I don't want to say buried the hatchet, but they're working together again, her and Lee Daniels. They had some hiccups in the past. She was in this last movie, and I forgot what it was called, but she played the lady who, there was all her family was killed by somebody, and the girl was doing she was channeling the spirits or something. So I would say that was thriller and horror, not just horror. It was thriller and horror, right? So I'm like, okay, I see Lee Daniels is getting into his Jordan Peele bag a little bit. Not to give all the credit to Jordan Peele, like he's the only one that does black horror, but I'm just saying we can't act like he didn't bring black horror to the forefront with Get Out. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like this direction that Lee Daniels going in, because I'm assuming he's going to be directing some more horror, which is good, because I've said it before. I love that's one genre you don't see black people in too much. Not playing lead characters. It's usually like, it's a group of teenagers. They'll have like that one black friend or two black friend. You don't really see a whole lot of horror movies with black people in the forefront. That's not really a genre that we're in a whole lot as far as dominating, right? So, yeah, shout out to Lee Daniels for that. So with this movie, scare factor, now when it comes to spirits and stuff, I am a little sensitive about that because I've had experience with it. So I will watch a horror movie with that stuff, but I do prefer things that are like vampires or something that I know is fake, right? Because this was, I found out, was loosely inspired by a true story where this woman was saying her son was doing what this little boy was doing. He got possessed climbing up the wall backwards and stuff. See, that kind of stuff, when they say it's inspired or based on and then it ends up being a horror movie, I'm kind of like, ugh. But I did like it. Glenn Close's character. So this is the first time that I've seen her in a character like this. It kind of reminded me of when Halle Berry was in Baps, because up until that point, Halle Berry was the sophisticated, beautiful woman. We didn't see her play, a ghetto, quote unquote, ratchet role like that. So that's what it reminded me of, like Halle Berry and Baps, seeing Glenn Close in this, because it's so far from what you've seen them in before, and probably even their real life personalities. And I think she did well in that. It touches on a little bit in the movie about being biracial, half black, half white particularly, and being raised up by a white mother. Long story short, real quick, my stepfather's biracial. He's half black, half white. He grew up with his white family in rural Georgia in the 60s, 70s, 80s. So he experienced a lot of traumatic experiences because of that. Sometimes it was even from his own family members. So we touch on, because there was a scene where she was like, yeah, you like to listen to R&B, you cook your collard greens, you mess with these black dudes, but you don't want to be so I think it was something where she was like, when it's time to be in, you don't want to be in, or something like that. So I can always appreciate movies that touch on topics slightly, but it gets a conversation starting. Now, I personally, of course, I'm not biracial, but having a stepfather that is, and hearing some of the things he went through, I did appreciate them touching on that a little bit in the movie. The acting was great to me. I enjoyed it. Even with small characters like Omar Epps, Monique, like I wouldn't say Monique's character was super small. She was the DCF case worker, but her impact was good though. Like the part where she was like, the kids got beat up at a whole playground because they couldn't explain their bruises to her, and they were just saying stuff like, I fell, blah, blah, blah on the playground and all that stuff. So I think it was, a lot of times when it comes to movies, you have to be careful when you put a lot of well-known actresses and actors in it, because it could go to crap real fast, or it could be cool. Like Kingdoms Come, to me, if you remember that, with LL Cool J, Jada Pinkett, it was Tony Braxton was in it. It was a whole lot of people in it, right? It was so full of stars, it was too much. So, in my opinion, I don't even think it really did that well in theater. So, with this movie having a lot of well-known actors, it worked out well, probably because their roles were small compared to Andra Day's character. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Andra Day's character. She was the main character. What I wasn't expecting was her doing the speaking in tongues and really getting into her religious thing, trying to save her son. There's that one part, speaking of that part, that the ghost ended up looking like her, and it looked like she was battling herself. Can someone explain that part to me? Because for a split second I was like, so is the devil in her too? Like, I didn't really know, you know, what that was about. So someone can explain it to me. But yeah, altogether, I definitely I like the movie. I wish I could have reviewed it sooner, but like I said, homegirl needed that $25 a few weeks ago, okay? But we got the Netflix back. So moving on to my story time. The first time I encountered a spirit was my late grandfather. He had just passed. He was killed on a train track. I don't know if he tried to beat the train or what, but he got hit by a train and he was killed. This was in May of 1998, and my parents had had a real bitter divorce the year prior. So and he's the grandfather on my daddy's side, so I didn't see them much during all that, right? So I felt bad about it. Even being a little kid, I felt bad because it's like, man, I haven't seen my grandfather in some months, and now he's gone. So that summer, the summer that he got killed, I was staying with my grandmother, his wife, and I was in the living room, with my little pallet. You know how us kids had pallets and stuff to sleep on. And I remember just laying there, and I saw a very vague appearance of him. He was smiling at me, and he used to wear a straw hat, and he tipped it to me, and I was fully awake. And I feel like that was his way of letting me know it's okay. It's okay that I think he sensed that I felt bad that he died, and my parents are going through their divorce, and I wasn't there, visiting as usual. Also that summer, see, he either died on a Sunday and was buried on a Thursday, or vice versa. But anyway, I remember the doorbell would ring all by itself the time he would be getting home from work on those 2 days that summer. It did it for the whole month I was there. 10 o'clock, he'd be getting home from work. It would ring by itself on Sunday. It would ring by itself on Thursday. And my mom had a little Shih Tzu at the time. Now, this dog could hear anything coming up to the door. That dog did not bark until the doorbell rang. That dog could hear somebody walking up, because my grandparents had gravel driveways, so you could hear it. She could hear anybody walking. She could hear anybody driving. My grandparents kind of live off a road a little bit. She could hear all that. That dog didn't start barking until the doorbell rang, and when it rang, she went crazy, just I don't know if she knew it was him or not. And my uncle, who, he doesn't believe in that kind of stuff. He went out with his gun. He was looking around, and he was sitting there trying to think. And he was like, well, the Bible says, that doesn't exist, and you don't see that and all this. And I said, my grandmother was like, look, 3 people and a dog ain't going to hear the same thing and it not be true. And my grandmother actually had to end up getting the doorbell undone. But I know that was my grandfather letting us know that was him. And I definitely believe in spirits. Since then, I've had encounters with them, not seeing them, but feeling them. I'm usually in kind of I hope I'm using this word correctly, lucid state, where I'm not really awake. I'm not asleep. I'm in the middle. That's when I have the encounters. Except for my grandfather, I was wide awake. But the other encounters I've had with spirits have been in that state where I'm conscious enough to know what's going on, but I'm not asleep. So I know I'm not dreaming. One thing I could say, the thing about a spirit is it feels like energy. And I know it's hard to explain, but it doesn't feel like any kind of matter. It doesn't feel like gas. It doesn't feel like liquid. It doesn't feel like solid air. It didn't feel like, it just feels like energy. That's what a spirit is. And I feel like that's what we are. We're energy in this body. Our souls is what keeps this body running. You think about it, as soon as someone dies, their body starts decomposing. Well, what kept their body alive before? It was that spirit. But anyway, that's it, man. Like I said, Deliverance on Netflix. Let me know if you've seen it. I know I'm late to the party, but maybe if I missed some things, let me know in the comments. All right. Shout out to my A2 subscribers. Shout out to the rest of you as well who are not subscribed, but you can by clicking that button. Like, comment, share. Peace and blessings to you all. Until next time, y'all.